Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 339. This is your guide to the geek side. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by the weary traveler, Charlie Carden.
Keep on trekking, baby. Yes, there's an odyssey around this wonderful shirt. I was very happy to revisit this shirt I had long ago that wore out. I had to go to eBay to find it, but it is my favorite. Todd, do you have a ring light on your computer? I'm seeing
I do.
like a...
I
You
do.
do.
It is a new edition. It's unfortunately reflecting in my eye, but I want to see more light in this place.
But now you look like, you kind of look like Dr. Mindbender. You have a monocle.
I kind of do,
Oh!
yeah. I'm going to try to move it out of the way. But yes, I was trying to put some more light in the room because it gets a little dark. So yeah, a little change.
On the topic of Dr. Mindbender, just since I brought it up, that was one of those figures I never had the file card for it. Like I picked it up some other way. But if you read his origin, I swear to God, he was a dentist who did weird experiments on his patients, and then and then did it on himself, and it made him a mad genius. He was a supervillain.
No doubt. When you basically are topless with a cape and a monocle.
Well, he had a cape, no shirt, but he had the braces go down to a V. That was when G.I. Joe,
because he had to cover up his nipples.
Right, because that kind of thing
won't scare the children.
We'll do a little research on Dr. Mindbender and we'll get back to you. Yes, I am traveling. I started a new job a couple weeks ago, which is why you didn't see me. But it's a great job. I'm very excited about it. And I will be working from home or based out of home when it's over. But it's a 2-month training process in Milwaukee, which is about 4.5 to 5 hours from here, depending on the time difference. I leave every Monday morning. I come home every Friday afternoon. So it's a lot of road and it's a lot of intense information, but I think it's going to pay off. So I'm excited about it. But doing this, and again, I recorded Code 47 a couple of hours ago, really grounds me. I'm happy to be back in the world and talking about things that we enjoy. So, and Corey did a great job last week. It's too bad I wasn't around to put the brakes on you guys because you got a little chatty, but I still thought it was a good episode.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and we had technical details last week. If you watch the YouTube video, you'll see what I was talking about. The video was not great on Skype. That's why I hate Skype. Skype is my enemy. We will be having a backup plan if Skype or if Zencaster never works again. Then we'll use something different. That I've got something planned as well that'll keep the quality high, costs to a minimum, and allow us to avoid snafus. But yeah, his mic didn't work with Zencaster, so we couldn't use the video. So if you saw the video, it's about as low budget video as you could get, but that's okay. The audio is perfectly okay as well. It's still Skype audio.
It was perfectly okay.
But don't hold that against us, because we normally bring the quality, and we'd love to hear what you think about the podcast. You can subscribe and give us a review on iTunes. We'd love it if you leave us a review. We'll read it on the show. And then you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got a lot more content out there. Every show now is on YouTube, which is great, and more to come, and special guests and interviews are going to happen. So we're very excited about what's coming later in the year in 2021. So please do that. Yeah.
Yes, baby.
What's almost as exciting is the comic book we are featuring this episode, and that is Detective Comics number 339. This is May 1965. It was 12 cents, so a deal. And basically the cover says, Batman battles the living beast bomb. Batman is holding a gorilla strapped with rockets over his chest.
Well, he said he was a bomb, so is he just a bomb or whatever?
It looks like rockets, but it's like a belt with he's going to blow something up, but I don't know how this happened.
But the rockets are pointed towards his face. So are they supposed to launch him at something? And that I don't get how this is a detective issue. Did he? This seems like it would be more of it just doesn't seem like a Detective Comics thing happening.
Well, we learn more about this title because we read what Robin says. Hold that gorilla, Batman. The instant he touches the ground, the bomb strapped to his body will blow up Gotham City. Batman says, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up.
Really, Batman? It must have been leg day, huh? So you just couldn't keep it going? That's weak, dude. That's weak sauce. Come on, Batman.
You couldn't just set him down gently?
Yeah, treat me gently. Well, or if was it a problem if you set him down on the bomb? So could you weaken it, Bernie's him, and stand him up and get some pulleys and walk him around like a puppet?
A hammock, maybe. I don't know.
I could see that working.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we'll ever know what happened unless we read the comic, which we said we will. So we may have to pick like the best of and do a review. The ones we were like intrigued, we're like, we don't know what happened, and just come back, and that's going to be a special Thunderdome.
I would like to have. I definitely want to see what happened with the Super Horse a couple episodes ago in the Foot Solitude. I want to. That's my commitment. I will do that one if that is available. I assume on DC Infinite.
I imagine. Why would they keep that one away, Charlie? Unless they're like, that was such a good story, we're going to charge you extra.
Right. We're going to put it in the vault. We're going to put it under the vault. You're not going to get at it.
Exactly. The Disney vault. Now they're storing DC Comics as well.
Why not? It's a little extra. Hey, look. They'll do anything to make money.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for the beginning and intro, but now it's time for us to turn to our gal pal, our senior news correspondent. So without further delay, Madam Webb, take it away.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Yes, I believe you and Charlie were supposed to meet up in Milwaukee so you could reminisce about your time posing as the beer baroness, but it didn't work out, did it, Charlie?
No, and you know what? And she was also going to take me on a tour of the neighborhood where that Happy Days was set in, because I think that wasn't she Pinky Tuscadero? Oh my God.
No, Charlie, she was Oldie Tuscadero.
Oh, geez. I think I revealed her big secret. Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to find the Cunningham house where, Fonzie had his Fonzie apartment. And he just looked to the mirror and he went, I don't know.
In the mother-in-law apartment?
The only thing I've really discovered about Wisconsin is they have worse drivers than we have here in Michigan.
And they like to give tickets to non-Wisconsin drivers.
I did not think that was possible, that they could have crappier drivers than here in Grand Rapids. But
I think that was the last ticket I actually got was in Milwaukee or Wisconsin, driving home from one of my trips back in sales.
Let me guess, you were going 62 in a 60, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Boo! Man, oh man. All right. So I'm fired up about this first story because, Todd, for years now, you and I have been struggling with the Eternals movie. Probably you more than me. You saying, oh, the Eternal sucks. They never really did. There's nobody out there who says, oh, I love this Eternal story, blah, 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 this and that or whatever. And we saw the first trailer 4 or 5 months ago, maybe even not that long ago. We were kind of like, we were like, yeah, okay. This trailer, which was your full 2.5 minutes or whatever.
It's a story trailer, as they call it.
It's a story trailer. Yeah. I think really stepped things up. I was excited about this, and it was pointed out in the SFU group by Stephen, I think by Stephen Day, who's one of our regular contributors, that this may look to basically ape the mid-'80s 12-issue Eternals miniseries, which was in 1985 and 1986. The main villain of it being a dude named Gar, or Ghaur, Gwar, like the old rock band? Yeah. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I like it. So, yeah, I was fired up by this. So, yeah, we got all the regulars. You had Salma Hayek's character kind of doing some exposition, talking about and it's funny, she said, I watched it with April again this morning because I don't think she'd seen it. It was the emergence or it made me think of the convergence, like a celestial event they were talking about, which reminded me of, which of course was from Thor: The Dark World, our favorite Thor movie. And there was sarcasm if you didn't pick up on that, because that was not our favorite Thor movie.
No,
because it was not good. But yeah, to me, this lended a little fire, and they came right out and said, hey, how come you guys didn't help with Thanos? How come you guys never helped out during World War II? Because it was said in the exposition that they've been on Earth for 7,000 years. But their strict instructions, wherever they came from, is that you guys can't interfere with anything unless it involves the Deviants, which are a monster race. And when those pop up, that's when the Eternals pop up. Other than that, they just, they sit in their bunker and don't do anything. So now things have changed. This convergence, divergence, whatever this deal is. Oh no, those were the movies with what's her nuts. So those aren't the right ones. Whatever it is, the event that's happening, we got a Celestial in the mix. We see some Big Bang Boom, and I'm fired up. I am now fired up for this movie. I'm a lot more fired up for this movie than I am for Shang-Chi, which comes out next week, which I bought the tickets for, and I'm still not convinced is not going to bore me to death. So anyway, my point is, I am
Charlie,
now on board with
it's
the
got
Turtles.
action on top. I don't know how that bores you. I mean, it's not the Green Knight, so
Because I'm afraid it's going to be like Snake Eyes. It's just going to be a bunch of clank, 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 punch, punch,
I don't
punch,
think
punch.
Disney would allow it to be that way. I just think there's always more to the vine. I think it's just like Ant-Man. It's going to be more than you think. And we didn't see what's his name tell us about. What was the name? The guy who was it Miguel? God, I don't remember his name. The guy who told
Luis.
Yeah, we didn't know about
Michael
Luis and all
Peña's
those extra things. Yeah, so
all right.
We've
That's
seen
fair.
like
That's fair.
3 minutes
That's
of the
fair.
movie. So I think Disney knows what they're doing. At least this. I mean, we don't know yet. I mean, we hope we know what they're doing. But it's funny because yes, we got more character out of this. This is the storyline. The deviants, if they're involved, it is kind of funny because apparently deviants have been dormant or something, like you said.
Naturally.
Yeah. So they're finally coming back. We don't know the last time they were seen. Their Eternals are essentially just kind of a safeguard, waiting. The Celestials essentially developed both the deviants and the Eternals themselves. So basically, they were creators of all of those. The funny thing is, though, if you read about Thanos is an Eternal with deviant DNA. So because of that, then it tells me that, well, shouldn't they have got involved? Because he's partially a deviant. That's why the way he looks, he's unattractive. That the deviants were all supposed to be monstrous and things like that. So he was always an outcast. But I don't know if Marvel's really going to stick to then said canon. I mean, we didn't.
You wouldn't think so, because then it would kind of throw a monkey wrench in the whole.
Exactly.
Dealio.
So yeah. So I mean, we're gonna get this. We saw the deviants; they're kind of like generic monsters looking, at least. And then we did get the one main bad who didn't think the CG for him looked that great. We'll see how that pans out. But yes, we are getting an evil monster. We do see some, like I said, characterization with these Eternals, what they're like, their personalities. I really liked seeing Camille Nanjiani when he does like his finger guns. That was cool.
Yeah.
Pew,
pew. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm hoping there is a lot of personality with this. It's going to be a beautiful film, and I know everybody says, Chloe Zhao makes it, but beauty and being entertaining and really rewarding don't always go hand in hand. Cinematography has never been the benchmark for a good film. It just helps make it beautiful. So right. I think hopefully this movie's got a good script. That's the number one thing that will save this film. If it's got a script that's ho-hum, it doesn't matter what you put out there. It will be not exactly what they want it to be. So I'm just hopeful. And we saw little bits of, I think, shimmers of personality, which I hope will pay out. And you know what? Nothing else is going on. I will see this film. So I'm just hoping it's good. And I've never said the Eternals are bad. I just said they've been boring and they just have no presence in most comic book fans' mind, which means they essentially have free will to do whatever they want with these characters, because no one will be offended if they veer from what's been in the comics.
Oh, you didn't hit what I saw in issue 4 of the miniseries. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's read it. However, we might consider actually. I would not mind delving into at least maybe an issue or 2 of that miniseries to see if it grabs us.
Oh, the old one?
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot do old Kirby. Old Kirby is so, even this was considered his knockoff of the New Gods he did. It's so ham-fisted. I mean, we're talking 60s Marvel, Charlie? Come on. Or 70s Marvel, I guess.
But this was in the 80s, but still, if it's a good story, I know we were always trying to find an Eternal story that would hit the notes, but I don't know.
Oh, I mean, the Kirby one? No, the Kirby one was well before that. Kirby was 70s, I think.
Well, no, I'm talking about this 12-issue miniseries from the 80s.
Oh,
what was that? Yeah, I mean, should we give it a
go?
We
read part of the Neil Gaiman one, and we read the first issue of the most recent one. I don't know, man. I just think there's nothing there on the Vine comic book wise that have really said, wow, I really like this property as a comic book. I might be a bigger fan of the movie if it moves me forward.
I mean, could be. Let's see here. There's a trade paperback of it. I'm just curious what they call it. Oh, the Kindle one is only $8 if we were to buy it. But of course, why would we buy it? So I know. I'm just curious.
Well, Charlie, if you want to read it, by all means, it's up to you, my friend. You can absorb old comic book story and writing better than I can. Yes. Next story. Black Canary is getting a spinoff from the Birds of Prey film. This is coming to HBO Max. Journey Smollett will be reprising the role, and this is going to be done with Lovecraft Country's scribe, Misha Green. I believe this is going to be a movie, which HBO Max has been talking about doing these basically direct to HBO Max movies of DC properties.
Right.
This could make sense. Birds of Prey came out, did horribly at the box office. I know there were some fans that really, it got good critical reviews. It just didn't hit, I guess, fans in the right spot. I think this came out. Did this come out before, like early 2020, before COVID, or was it the year before?
I know that I just watched that movie, or maybe like 2/3 of that movie in the hotel room a week or so ago, and I feel like it might have been early 2020. And what I can tell you is that I was reminded why I've never watched it a second time. Not impressed. Not impressed. Not impressed for another go around. That's for sure.
Yeah, not even Ewan McGregor could save it. So that's depressing in itself.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see if this goes anywhere. Apparently, it's going to be officially announced at the DC Fandom, which is coming in October. But this is also hand in hand with the fact that we're getting that Batgirl movie, and also Blue Beetle is getting its own separate movie, I believe, as well, and it's going to be starring the Miguel from Cobra Kai. So I like what they're doing, developing a lot of characters, giving some characters a second chance. Hopefully this delivers better than Birds of Prey did. But yeah, that movie was just a big for me.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Obviously, there's an audience for this kind of thing. But being that we didn't really dig on the first film, it's not really a given that we're really going to dig on this. But, I'm always willing to give it a ride. I mean, DC, as far as live action gritty in the DC Universe / HBO Max era, has given us Titans, and that's awesome. So who knows? It could be gritty. It could be gritty and wonderful. Well, I'll jump into this next one. I'm fired up about this. Again, 80s era little miniseries within the Iron Man comics, which I didn't really read them, but I was aware of this because it did cross over with Captain America. It was the first Captain America Iron Man like fight they had over Tony Stark's armor wars. Tony Stark back in those days found out that his tech had been hacked, that people were stealing from him, and so he had to go on a no holds barred, damn the consequences quest to get all of his tech back, and that led him that led him in conflict with Cap when he had to break into, I think, the vault and sabotage the guardsman armor or something. I'm trying to remember the specifics, but at any rate, obviously in the MCU era, we don't have Tony Stark to play with, so taking his place will be obviously Don Cheadle as War Machine / Iron Patriot, whatever the hell you want to call him. And so some additional details dropped this week that the show has picked up the head writer of the Showtime series Black Mondays, which also stars Don Cheadle. So that's probably a good thing that we have a writer that knows how to write for him. So yeah, they've tapped writer Yasir Lester to be the head writer of this program. Interesting. I don't know, skimming through this, if this guy has any geek cred writing for genre shows, but that, I think, as we've seen with Disney, has not really mattered, because Disney seems to have a pretty tight rein on making their stuff pretty sharp by engaging outside talent. So this sounds cool. Release window TBD, but this will be part of Phase 4. So I'm guessing if camera rolls end of this year or 2022, or early 2022, I'm thinking definitely early 2023 is my guess.
Yeah, and I'm curious because obviously Pepper Potts, I assume she controls Stark's.
Right.
Why
wouldn't she?
And we could potentially see, obviously, her back. We could see our favorite. We could see Happy return, and then it could just be the fact that his technology gets out there somehow, and someone takes advantage of that gap in that era, and we could see return of Justin Hammer. Right? I don't think he was completely dead.
He was where he was. From remembering his fate, he ended up in the same. He was in the same jail as the guy who was the fake Mandarin.
Yeah,
and
Trevor.
And then the real Mandarin broke into the jail, and they were like, "Yeah, no, the real Mandarin wants you," or whatever. And so we know that Justin Hammer was alive at that time.
Yep.
So he may still will be. But yeah, that would be awesome to see kind of some of those legacy, of the Iron Man trilogy, some of those legacy characters pop back up. I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, and they've got good source material to grab from and pull in things that make sense, some things that don't. Introduce, I think, Ironheart. We're hearing now that Ironheart's going to get introduced in Black Panther 2.
Right.
So
yes.
so Ironheart can have a role in this as well. So there's, I think, a lot of things cooking with this that could be really good. And she could be basically the protege of Jim Rhodes, right?
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I'm totally down. Looking forward to that. Disney Plus, those programs are just hitting it out of the park. I've been loving What If, which I'll talk about when we get into the Geek Easy, but I'm totally on board. Look forward to it.
Yeah, next story, Charlie. I normally don't talk about Star Wars stories just because I'm waiting. I mean, I'm really excited for the Star Wars Visions. I think that's going to be really cool and a different approach to Star Wars that we just haven't seen in the past. So I'm very excited about that. That's coming out. We got a trailer for that. Won't talk about that. If you're into that type of thing, good. If you're not, that's okay. There's going to be more of the same old stuff that you always get. So just be ready for that. But something that's coming out, which is kind of cool, is we've all talked about, when Solo, the movie, came out, I was really excited for it because I'm like, this is going to be neat because if anybody has really cool stories to tell, it's Solo because he's a smuggler. He does all these things, wacky hijinks.
He's got a lot of touches.
Yeah.
Like that's a character
he's got
that can
history. Yeah.
He can bounce between segments of the Star Wars universe. He can be like, here's crime syndicate stuff, here's the Imperial stuff, here's maybe some, nascent Jedi Sith stuff. He bounces. He
has wacky sex romps. We don't know. It's fun. But what we got essentially was Han Solo, the Mad Libs of his origin story, which I'm like, we didn't need it, but that's okay. But we did get some cool characters introduced, and we're kind of like, what is going to happen with all of that potential? Where is it going to go? Well, I guess apparently the comics writers and the people behind that are saying, well, we're just going to go forward and use the character of Qira, which essentially she goes and it basically forms bonds with, and you probably know more of this, basically the Crimson, was it Crimson Sky? Crimson Dawn. PM Dawn, Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. Which very inexplicably at the end of the Solo movie, she makes a video call as she's about ready to make her big breakout, and Darth Maul's on the other end of the line, which was a head scratcher for anybody who didn't know about the fact that the character was revived in the Clone Wars, and then going into Rebels, you saw him again. So this would kind of put it in the middle. So that was kind of a weird choice, but obviously they're running with it. It's canonical. They got to do something with it. I say all of this as over on Holocron Chronicles, Mark and I just kind of abandoned talking about monthly
the premise of your show
stuff. The premise of our show evolved, and it was, I'll blame it on Mark, but I think it's been working out. We've turned into a social media guest centric discussion program as opposed to talking about canon, because we just couldn't find ourselves caring about what's going on in the comic. It all just seemed very inconsequential. And so I have stopped reading the comics altogether. I mean, it's easy to pick them up again someday with Marvel Unlimited, and then obviously purchasing comics on, but I'm just in the phase right now when I'm just not reading comics right now a lot. So it's going to take, my fandom goes in cycles. It'll come around again and I'll want to do it again. But right now it's just not my scene. So, so I don't know, but I agree with you. This was a creative way to circle the character back in. And the interconnectivity about Star Wars that I do enjoy is that, yes, you could have her here, and then that could transition her potentially into an animated property. Maybe it could transition her into a live action property like The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett or any of the other live action, kind of properties or animated properties that they have on the slate. But the river all flows in the same direction through live action, animated, comic, and book. You know what I mean? So everything is it's one stream. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Yeah. I mean, it can be, I always say canon can be a prison that you're captured. Basically, some writer's bad decision can then hamstring future things
Right.
because they decided it was a good idea. Sometimes canon works because it mixes things and you get things that really just, it just all connects. And it's like, wow, that's neat how it came together. So it can be good. It can be bad because then it can just be, oh, we need something because this is really that exciting. Let's throw in a cameo. And then it's really, well, is it a good series or is it just, you just happy to see an old face? And it can be both. This is interesting because basically this is dealing with, like you said, the Crimson Dawn, the series, this comic series is coming out called Crimson Reign, 5 issues coming out in November, potentially keeps this character in the minds of fans, and also then says, would it make sense to give this character, like you said, her own series? Or could Solo come back as a live action series rather than a movie? And you can do more of those one-off heists and have fun like that versus having to do 2 hours to encapsulate everything. That's kind of like, it kind of feels you flat, leaves you flat because it didn't really serve anybody well.
Well, yeah, and again, what purpose did that film serve? You know what I mean? It didn't really blast forward any kind of narrative elements that then, oh, well, this helped this thing happen.
Yeah.
It really didn't. It really didn't help anything happen, and that was the issue. So that, no, I totally agree with you. I would love to see Solo as a TV series because, it could be. And again, a mini micro series, not like, oh, it's like Bad Batch getting a season 2. We really dissected that on Holocron Chronicles this past week. That it's just kind of like, what kind of stories are we going to do? And we talked about our predictions, and I know the one that I kind of launched, and Mark and our guest agreed with me, is that I'd love to see Bad Batch do a time jump. Let's jump 10 years forward. What are these characters doing with the way that the galaxy has become? And that's kind of what I think it touches elements of this as well. So yes, move the story forward. You do have this 20-year gap that you can do some developments. Everything doesn't have to be within 5 minutes of what happened in episode 5. You know what I mean? Give us some breath, explore a little bit. And that's good stuff. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and if you can't get these actors to do live action, animation can fill those gaps and can make it easier. It can do cool things, has a lesser budget, and they can do a different style than the Bad Batch, the Clone Wars, and Rebels, and everything else. Do something different. Be audacious. Like, just even use the style of What If, because you know what? Right. That works great. And I think that'd be fantastic.
And Star Wars has done that under what the hell was the previous publisher? Not Dark Horse, but the one after that. Was it Dark Horse?
Yes.
That lost the license to Mark. Yeah, it did, and it was maybe like 15 years ago or even a little bit further. So they did what if, when Luke did his Death Star run, he launched a missile and it was a dud and he didn't destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
And they spun out, and that was a great story that I loved. And then they transitioned to the next movie, and it was a different what if this thing happened. And then they transitioned to Return of the Jedi, and what if this other thing didn't happen? So I love those 3 stories. I have read those several times, and it's kind of funny. It mirrors the decline in quality that the Family Guy Star Wars one had. Like the first one, amazing. The second one, the third one, dog shit. Just terrible. So I don't know. I guess bad things come in threes.
Well, and I wasn't saying I wasn't saying to follow in the premise of What If. I just said the animation style of What If.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking. For me, I was thinking the premise because I like that kind of thing. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So cool. We will see how this develops. And the beauty of having Marvel Unlimited is that this is in 3 months' time after it comes out. It's something that you and I can check out.
It's all there. Yep.
And it's all there. And I will admit I've not taken advantage of it very much at all. But it's one of those services that I know I'll always hang on to because I will end up using it at some point for something. And it always pays for itself no matter what.
Absolutely. So check out Marvel Limited or in comic shops in November when it's available. Last story, Charlie, and this getting us right into the spooky zone. We're getting basically this was already announced, but we've got a trailer for it now, and that is Syfy is making a Day of the Dead series. And this is debuting October 15th. It's based on the George Romero universe, all those things. But this one's taking more of a comedic route to it. A little bit tongue-in-cheek at times, less dour, less, oh my God, we have to save the world and survive. It's kind of like that, was it World War or Zombie Z?
The Zombie Zoo? Z Nation.
Z Nation. So it feels very similar this way, but it's more in line with the Romero universe. I think it looks charming, and the fact is now I can watch Syfy on their app for free. This might be entertaining.
I keep forgetting about that, but again, me not being home, I'm not really. I got our Roku completely crashed yesterday, so I'm busy uploading new channels. So maybe now's the time for me to upload this one. So yeah, I found with Roku, you seem to have to do a factory reset on those things once about every 6 months. Have you bumped into that, or is that just me?
Yeah, they can run hot. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not exactly the most high-end devices in the world, so I don't think the lifespan of something you use quite frequently like that get hot.
Yeah. So I had to do that. Now it seems to be fine. But I turned it on and it just wouldn't load anything, and the video input quality was terrible. But I also realized I have when you boot it up again, you get all the channels again. I have like 100 channels. I could tell you I use 10.
Yes.
The rest of those absolutely have to go. So maybe that'll help. It's not taking up
potentially. Yeah. Well, they do take up memory. So clean house, Charlie, and you'll be set.
I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah. So this story basically, the showrunners are Scott Thomas and Jed Elenoff. Basically follows a group of strangers trying to survive the first 24 hours of an undead invasion in their small, conflict-filled town. This ode to Romero's flesh eaters reminds us that sometimes all it takes to bring people together is a horde of zombies trying to rip them apart.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand and then take a big bite of it if you can. I loved I assume and this is spun off of the 1985 Day of the Dead, I believe it was, and it was.
I think it's supposed to be the same area. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was set. It was set at an army base in Florida, and they were underground, and they had a base it was a lab, but it was surrounded by caverns that had zombies in it, and there were zombies on the surface, and I love that one. But again, it's really harnessed with that great gore that at the end of it they catch one of the soldiers, the one who was like the biggest dickhead, and they just tear him in half. And you see one of those, he's yelling while they're pulling his body in half. They're pulling his organs out. And it's like, whoa! But I dug it. I totally dug it. And I really loved going beyond Romero. I loved it. The only thing Zack Snyder has ever done that I've enjoyed was his Dawn of the Dead. That was awesome. Love it in 2004, 2005. So this looks fun, and this will be on Syfy. Is this This is a one shot, so it's like a TV movie?
It's going to be a TV series.
Oh, very cool. All right. Yeah. Well, I am totally on board. Don't recognize any of these names really, so that's fine. Yeah, but I'm totally. Oh no, is the one in the middle flipping me off? That's rude.
It is. Yeah, the poster shows Day of the Dead. They're coming for you, and it does show one of the zombies' hands coming up. But it's the middle finger. But they also, Charlie, include the helicopter in the background. If you remember Day of the Dead with the helicopter, that scene. So I like that. There's the homage is there. So I think they get what they're going for. They also say they're inspired by Red Dawn, 1984's Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze.
That's so. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna depend on you to remind me about this because I've literally already forgotten. But by that time you'll probably have to remind me to download the app because I will say I'll do it now, but I won't do it now.
Charlie needs a secretary or executive assistant at this point.
I do. I mean, I could put it in my phone, but I'm not going to put it in my phone. But anyway, I think that takes us out of the news. It takes us out of news. So I think we got to get an Uber or a Stuber if you prefer. If you wanted to get, Dave Bautista involved, and get a ride over to our favorite geek destination, the place with the most watered down drinks, the worst food in town. That would be the Geek Easy.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy. The cover band is playing. Drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. Charlie, I'm assuming you had access to television and various sources of entertainment in the hinterlands.
Yes, exactly. In the land of cheese and apparently lack of interest in vaccinations. Yikes. But yeah, I had to. We're into the era of new programming. It's coming out during the week. I have probably one of the more serious cases of FOMO of anybody you'll ever meet, and particularly for the needs of this program. I can't know that this program came out on this day and have a fear that if I'm scrolling through social media that I'm going to see something I don't want to see. So on Wednesday mornings, both this week that we're in and the previous week, and by the time you're listening to this, the week that you're in right now, first thing I get up in the morning in my little hotel bed, I grab my iPad and I pull it over and I watch. On Wednesdays, I watch What If on Disney Plus. And then I watch Lower Decks, the new Star Trek program, on Thursdays. And What If has absolutely blown me away. And I know that you guys talked about it on the program last week. First episode was all about Captain America, the first Avenger. If Peggy Carter had taken Steve Rogers' place in that film, we actually just watched it again now so that I could talk about it and be fresh. Second episode was what if the Peter Quill role of Star-Lord was replaced by T'Challa if he was abducted by the Ravagers as a child at kind of the same age. So both amazing stories. I absolutely loved in this week's episode about T'Challa Star-Lord, the fact that Thanos doesn't have to be such a bad guy. And I loved in the context of the story, spoilers, that T'Challa had been the one to talk Thanos out of his mad plan to get the Infinity Stones. He got him to give it up. So I'm like, I don't think that either one. I think both of these are original stories based on the fact that they're basically spins on MCU tales. So it's totally original programming. It's like a fun micro movie in 30 minutes. I friggin' loved it. There was nothing about this that I didn't love. Both of them.
Yeah, it was interesting because I like this one less than the first one. I really loved the first one so much. The second one, I felt like, I don't know, it felt like it ran long. Like it was just like, I don't know. It felt like it was just like it didn't. The pacing was kind of less interesting to me, and I liked what they did. But I mean, no Guardians of the Galaxy in this one. So basically, they never got formed. That was kind of like the big pan of this one. Yeah,
that was the big. And again, for me, I probably had a deeper connection to the first one because of my own deep-seated love of Captain America and of the Captain America MCU trilogy films, and how those are, those are my six-pack. If I was to sit somebody down and say, hey, do you want to be really informed on watching, the phase 1 or the Infinity Saga, watch Cap 1, 2, and 3, and then watch Avengers, and then Infinity War, and then Endgame. That's my Cap six-pack. Because I feel like Cap is more the through line to the whole thing, or his movies are. So that kind of touched me deeply. Unfortunately, and I'll go into this, will be heard in much greater detail if you're a listener to Code 47, if you listen to it Monday, and this episode we're talking about comes out on a Friday, of Lower Decks this year. Now, Todd, are you caught up? Did you watch both episodes?
No, I'm just getting through the first season. I just watched the one episode where the what's his name, the main protagonist, he was infected with a bug or something.
Oh yeah,
left off the pheromones. Yeah.
Right. Well, I will tell you, and again, Rich and Aaron and I and our very special guest star, which by the time you listen to this, you'll hear, but I'm not spoiling it for Todd because he'll listen to it tomorrow. We had a very special guest star who offered their commentary as well. These episodes are, they're kind of lackluster. The series has kind of, as Rich that pointed out, the series has kind of doglegged into the over self-parodying phase that Family Guy did kind of early on. It's kind of gone Family Guy where it's just like, here's this reference and here's this reference over here. And what do you think of this reference? And that it doesn't really serve the overall narrative of the story, which is, it's quirky and it's fun and it's a comedy, but it just kind of enough is too much. The first of the episodes in particular was like, plot wise, nothing really seemed to connect, even with the things that they were trying to spoof. It just didn't really work for me. This may, again, work really, really great for non-Star Trek fans. For somebody tuning in and saying, the references will all go right over their head. They don't really have to care about that kind of stuff. Or it's not like they have to care, but they don't care. And it's got a little bit more of a Rick and Morty vibe. That's possible. But for me, these first couple of episodes, they've got some catching up to do in the 7 episodes that remain in this 10-episode season to kind of win me back. Because, we were all talking, and I guess I didn't really know until I watched the episodes again today, but I'm like, these are just not that great. And it echoed, Rich and Aaron kind of echoed my opinion. So again, as with all things, please make up your own mind. Lower Decks is on Paramount Plus every Thursday morning, or every Thursday past midnight Eastern Standard Time. And What If is on Disney Plus every Wednesday past midnight Eastern Standard Time. So watch them, love them. Hit us up on Twitter. Love them, hate them. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you think. But I'm bummed out watching them on my tiny screen, but I come home on the weekend.
Charlie,
watch them again.
Pro tip, you can connect a laptop to your hotel TV with the HDMI cable.
Or
you can put a Roku or a Roku box.
I literally was going to bring back the Roku in my den.
There you go. You're solved.
But I tried the same thing. I feel like I tried it with that Fire Stick you gave me, but maybe. Oh, you know what? I wanted to, but when I took the stuff out, I realized that I didn't bring batteries. So yes, I will take the Roku back, and that will be of enormous value.
Yeah.
So I will do that. Right? Pause it right now. I'm going to go grab it. No, I'll go grab it when we get done here.
As long as you can hit the input on your TV to change the inputs.
That is not certain. So we will find out.
You'll find out because hotels can be sketchy in that way. Oh well, it's not
Yeah,
like they're not charging you for like Skinamax anymore, so it's not like they're making any
Right,
money off it anyways.
And I'm staying at the same hotel that I stayed at last week. I stay there during the day, during the week. I come home, and then I'm going back to the same hotel again. So it'll be obviously it'll be a different room, but I'm sure it'll be the same kind of TV. So yeah, we'll find out.
Excellent. Well, good deal. Hopefully that gets solved for you, and you can watch things in a bigger screen.
That would be delightful. All right, so what do you got?
Two things this week. One thing is something I've been meaning to check out, but I never did, and that is called Trese, and that is a comic written by a Filipino writer, and I believe artist. And it's similar to like a Buffy type show where she has to take on demons and stuff. But you find out that her role in this is more significant. Essentially, her father was the one that actually created the peace between humans and these demons. And it uses a lot of Filipino mythology in regards to their monsters and beasts and things like that. It takes place in the Philippines. And because of that, my wife was interested in this because my wife is Filipino. She grew up in the Philippines, and she is very interested in the mythology and the culture of the Philippines because a lot of it is a lot of different, I guess you'd call it like a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures make up the Philippines. It's a variety of islands. So a lot of them are separate and they try to bring the cultures together. It's unique. It's a unique culture because Tagalog at times sounds Spanish. And because the Spanish basically came in and tried to basically colonize the Philippines at times. So there's a lot of that culture ingrained also with the Southeast Asian element. So very interesting. But it was really cool because we found out Netflix was going to make an animated series on this. So we just started watching that. So I didn't read the comic. My wife did. We started watching the animated series, and it's really well animated. And they did something very cool. They basically did English voices, but they also did voices in native Tagalog with real Filipino voice actors. So my wife kind of gave it Chris gave it this seems accurate. It's good. And we liked it. And my son watched it too. So we had a good time with it. It's very much that mindset of like a Buffy-esque type of show. But like I said, seeing something Filipino on the screen like that really makes my wife feel excited to see something that reflects her culture where there's not much of it. So it's good. I think you check it out if you like that type of monsters, demons, taking them on. I enjoyed it. So check out Trese. It's on Netflix. Season 1 is out. Not sure if it's getting a second season because I think there's only 2 trade paperbacks actually. So I don't know if there's enough material to make more yet. So we'll see.
Very interesting. Gotcha. Cool. And the second one that you got going on here, I'm jelly. You didn't, drop it on me. I want to read this.
Yeah, so Batman 89, I don't know if you can see the cover. Ooh, kind of blends in with my green screen. But Batman 89, #1, came out in comic shops. And
you bought it at a comic shop? What?
I did, because we went to Free Comic Book Day to check it out, see what they had, pick up the stuff, but also, reward a store for books I may not always buy myself. So I got that, and I also got the DC Infinite. It's basically the mini-series that's leading up to what the next stage of DC is all about. I got the first.
Oh yeah. I picked up one of those for my friend who's a big Wonder Woman enthusiast, and I don't think she ever read it, so I didn't get her. I think I might have got her the second issue, but then I did not get any more. So I'm still waiting on that book report.
Yeah. So DC Universe Infinite will have this in 6 months, so you'll be able to read it there for free.
I will.
But the physical books at DC do not include a code. Not sure why they did that for a while. Very inconsistent.
Missed opportunity. It's just it's
I don't even know how many people use it though, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing where it's like they just didn't find people use it, so like why bother? Add cost. Yeah.
I used it every month until I decided to do away with getting the physical copies. Which again, all consumers are different. You go to any comic shop. I mean, I have stood in line behind a comic shop with a guy who's picking up 20 books in a week, or he's picking up his entire pull list for a month because they really love to sit down and hammer through those. But it just got, Todd, with both you and I, we just got to the point where it's just something else that I'm not going to pick it up again. If I have the digital issue, I'm going to read it once. But then it even got down to the point, well, I know with Marvel this is going to be there in 3 months, and if I get an interest in the series on down the road, I'll read the whole thing. So all consumers are going to be different. So I have an enormous amount of appreciation for that, knowing a lot of guys who are comic shop owners and stuff like that. I totally dig it, but teach their own.
Yeah, comic book shops are perfect if you just want to read comics right away. You don't want to wait 6 months. You don't want to forget about it. It's something to do. It's part of your routine. It's something you're excited about. It's like the same people who buy whatever, the latest video game. They don't want to wait until it's, whatever. So that's fine. But Batman 89, this is essentially, I don't know what we would count this as. It's more like a what if spinoff. We've got that with other series, Batman 66, Wonder Woman 77, Batman 89, we're getting Superman 78.
I'd love to pick up a collection of, hopefully if there's a published collection of all three of those when the time comes, that I would pick up.
Well, I don't know if they'll put them together. They do collections of them individually, but
regardless,
Yeah, so it's basically inspired by the Batman 89 movie, Michael Keaton, and it's essentially expanding the mythology beyond what we saw in those two films, because that was all we got. So it was a very limited run. We only got, the essentially 3 villains. This one is expanding it. We've got, this issue really focused a lot on Harvey Dent, who was, modeled after Billy D. Williams in this. He looks like Billy D. Williams. We find out that he's actually dating Barbara Gordon and just gets engaged to her. We get to see more with him acting as how there's illusions that he's going to become Two-Face in this, which is really cool to get that story moving forward. We do get the fact that Batman is now being looked at as a anti-hero, and basically Harvey Dent wants to have a crusade against Batman. But we really don't have a big villain yet, but we do see another character, and I don't want to give it away, that gets introduced that apparently was supposed to be introduced into the Keaton films, but never was. And they bring it at the very end. I'm like, I picked that up. I'm like, that's very cool. So Sam Hamm, actually, I believe he was the script writer for the original Batman 89 film. He wrote this comic. So if anybody knows that era and what they had planned and what they would do with it, it's him. So I like the art style. It's not exactly like photorealistic or anything, but it's Michael Keaton, Alfred Goh. You can definitely see it's them. So if you really like that, just the look, it's a 6-issue limited series. I don't know if it'll be any more than that, but I think that's perfect at times, because sometimes you just run out of ideas, right? It's like, and then you're just pushing those series, they don't go well. I think Batman 66 was that way, right? I think it just kept on going and going. And going. And then people just stopped caring. So I like this. So 6 issues. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if I'll get the rest or just wait till the rest come out on DC Universe Infinite, but I just wanted to get the first issue to see what it was like. So check it out. It's in comic shops now, or 6 months later on DC Universe Infinite. So that is it for the Geek Easy, folks. It's time for us now to take a little trip in the exotic region next to the danger zone, and that's the Thunderdome. So let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome, where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, it's a topic. Not really a topic. It's a review of Reminiscence.
It's a thing that's a thing with the other thing. Yes!
Top view. A topic and review.
Had the joy of watching this bad boy at home thanks to the 2001, but not 2021, but maybe not 2022, depending on how Delta goes. The good folks at Warner Brothers are giving us same days theaters with these movies.
Yeah, Reminiscence, a movie that debuted in box offices this week. Hugh Jackman, let's see, Rebecca Ferguson, Thandie Newton, Cliff Curtis, Marina de Tavara, and Daniel Wu starred in this. This was directed by Lisa Joy. She also wrote it, along with her creative partner and husband, Jonathan Nolan. Also,
Nice.
Christopher Nolan's brother. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know what? It had a vibe. It absolutely
did.
had a
It
vibe.
did.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Nolan is really creative. He did Watchmen. So it's interesting how these creators and they take a bent. But yeah, so this movie basically had a budget of $68 million, went to theaters and HBO Max. The premise is Nick Bannister, a private investigator of the mind, navigates the alluring world of the past when his life is changed by a new client, May. A simple case becomes an obsession after she disappears, and he fights to learn the truth about her. So, Charlie.
Wowie zowie. Yeah, I had been looking forward to this film for a long time. Since I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, cool, it's Wolverine. I kept thinking as I was watching him going through his paces in this movie, I'm like, man, this dude just needs to pop the claws and do a backflip or something. I felt bad for him for not having Wolverine's powers because he's so
He could have used
endemic.
them.
Yeah, he's so endemic to that role after all these years, even though he has concluded his run doing it. It's hard to think about him as anything else, but he's had such a diverse career that it's not like, the fact that what was the spoof line in the first Family Guy Star Wars again? It was, "Hi, I'm Han Solo, and I'm Harrison Ford, and I'm the only actor whose career won't be destroyed by this movie." Because he just really does diversify and does a lot of different things. But I enjoyed him in this role. Even his name, Nick Bannister, sounds very like noirish. Don't you think?
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. This is the world of, I don't know if they really described how much time has gone by, but this is obviously a future of our own world. But in this, the inevitable happens. The polar ice caps have melted. I'm assuming. I don't know if they say that directly, but the world has basically, the sea level has risen by 100 feet or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think everybody flushed their toilets at the same time. That's what happened, Charlie.
Whoosh, there you go. Yes, low flow toilets have destroyed the world. But this is a significant period of time after that it happened. There was a world war, which is alluded to by many characters in this, including Hugh Jackman's characters having fought in the war. I fought on the front, or at one point there was a hitman who was going to axe him, and he had he said, "Raise up your hands," and there was a tattoo on the inner on Hugh Jackman's inner arm, and the guy misfired his shot and said, "Well, you're a fellow vet, so I'll give you this one, but get out of here." So so there was a world war, and life is just kind of life is kind of very much like the 1930s. There's a lot of shadows and shades of gray, and I'm not recalling exactly how did Nick Bannister get into this line of work.
That's a good question. Yeah, so the premise is he basically is someone that walks people through their memories. They go into these tanks. He controls the environment, and he can see it in 3D, it presented in front of you. And it's basically as the person remembers it, and not necessarily all the details around it. So you kind of see what they see, and he guides them through the memories, because if he guides them in the wrong spot, they could die. Their brain could basically have a hemorrhage because it's not a memory they have, and their brain starts thinking about to fill the gaps. So
Right.
he has a role in it, and that's his job, along with Danny Newton, who basically does the tech work for it. And the premise is essentially he helps people either. And I guess that's one of the things he talks about. This world is so horrible now. The only good things that you have now are the things that happened in the past with memories. So that's why he has a job. People hire him. They even come in to find lost keys or things like that. So you see what his role is. He had, like you said, he had a hard pass. He was a vet. So was Danny Newton. And the premise of this movie definitely feels like a noir detective film. Like, mysterious dame walks in and things go awry along the way. No one is who they think they are, and a lot of adventures happen along the way. So this one's kind of off my radar. Except for the trailer, I'm like, that looks interesting. Is it going to be a lot like all of those movies we thought, with Christopher Nolan? Is it going to be a mind screw? Is it really going to be like she's a ghost and you can't find her? And this did feel like more like a detective film trying to solve the mystery. And I liked that versus being uber techie or anything. Like you said, like it's in the future, but it doesn't feel that far in the future because they didn't have lasers. They didn't have things like that. They didn't have really high tech. Yeah.
It was just stuff. The thing that was the most high tech was, obviously this memory capturing whatever it is. And then, just like with any, he said, oh, the world, the world fell to shit, whatever. So there's, the world has the seedy underbelly and there are new narcotics. So was it Bacca? I kept thinking of Bacta.
Yeah.
Bacta, which is the stuff in Star Wars that is the stuff that'll heal you, like you see Luke in
like
the tank
Bactine.
in Bacta. Yeah, exactly. So you see Luke in the tank after he got smacked in the face by the Wampa in the Empire Strikes Back.
It's made out of Wookiees, Charlie. Chewbacca, Baka. It's made of Wookiees.
Oh boy, yeah, they grind down their big
Wookiee
big
bones.
paws.
Yeah,
Wookiee bones. It's very dark. So yeah, I really dug this. I think that. Unfortunately, I think April and I were both watching it yesterday morning after not such a great night of sleep. So I know she was nodding off, and I'm like, "Do you want to start this over again?" No, I just don't dig it. I just want it to be over. It was, and we tend to watch when we watch a movie early in the morning, we watch it in the dark, and it's one of those movies that's just so dark that if you don't watch it in the dark, you're not really seeing what's going on. So it is, I think, really perfect for a movie theater, to be perfectly honest with you. I might have preferred to have seen it that way, but my schedule just didn't allow it. But yeah, that would be my recommendation. I really enjoyed it. I think this is a good movie for the theaters because of all of the really dark tones. It's hard to watch it in your living room if you happen to have, weird, because living rooms, you have weird light sources, windows coming through and stuff. So there's certain movies that just doesn't really fit the bill, or certain TV shows like, Daredevil. I could never get through that show because you could go through entire scenes where you can't see anything. Or, Game of Thrones, you and I have talked about that. There's certain episodes where you're like, thank God for the captions and stuff so that you can read what's going on, because it's like reading a book because you can't see anything.
Man stumbles in the dark.
Man, yes.
What was that?
You know what? Remember my favorite caption, dies when someone expires.
Well, and that's a good point, because I think this movie was, I really enjoyed it, but it did feel like it's still going. Oh, yeah. Okay, something else is going to happen. Okay, it was a long, I think the pacing was a little indulgent. It could have been trimmed a little bit.
Yeah, it was an hour 55, I remember, because I remember pausing and looking up at the screen at a certain point. So it probably could have easily been, an hour 45 flat. You know what I mean? Being that the last 10 minutes is credits, so that really means it's an hour 35. So it kind of nudged over the 90-minute mark. Maybe it seems like they could have accomplished a lot because, they added on and now he's going to New Orleans because he's going to look for this clue or whatever. So, yeah, you're right. There could have been, there could be a little bit too much fluff, and that's where it could have suffered. So I don't necessarily disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, and maybe that's me being just a person of the times where it's like I'm a little more impatient with things, and maybe that's bad of us, right? We're like, tell me a story really quick. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great. But maybe it's some things need to take their time. So yeah, I'm two minds of it, maybe, but I did feel like, yeah, okay, we can tighten this up, or are we getting close? But with that, Charlie, you mentioned rather seeing in the theater. I'm like, and I think to a point, the more and more movies we only see at home, movies, I think, I know this is going to be sound blasphemous, aren't going to seem that big of a deal anymore, right?
Right, exactly. Because I'm like, oh, this film's coming out, and I know I want to see it, but I know I can't get out to the theater, so that's just going to evaporate. So yeah, you're right. It's going to all entertainment everything is going to flow through your television, from the jump of it. So I guess we'll find out when movies like this aren't so readily available. When they kind of stream it back to being, when Disney is not doing the premiere access, so that's another $30. When HBO Max is not doing the Warner Brothers thing and they're not dropping these movies same day. What other Warner Brothers movies are we kind of looking forward to seeing this way between now and the end of the year? Did any really jump out at you?
Dune's the big one, but there's some others. There's some smaller movies that are coming out, but nothing like that are like I would say are must see. So yeah,
Dune, I'm absolutely going to go see.
That's a big movie. That's a big screen experience.
That would not be. I don't think that would be nearly as enjoyable watching it. And again, we have a nice, thanks to Todd, he was the one who kind of pointed it out to me. But we have a 65-inch TV, and that's great. But it's not a 70-foot TV or a movie screen or whatever the hell they are.
With the sound and everything they do, the
sound, and the darkness, and the experience.
And you have nothing else distracting you. You're like, you have to watch it. You're not pausing the film. You're not like, oh, let's pause and come back 2 days later and finish it. Or, oh, you want to eat something? Okay, great. I think that's the distracted viewing at home. I think has made it just like myself. I'm guilty. I watched the first half on the elliptical, Then I came back and watched the second half as I was doing dishes. And I mean, I
Right.
was still, yeah, but so I was like, that's not the right space to be in. So yeah, I think it's relooking at cinema, and because TV is so good these days that I think that movies are gonna feel less important unless we do something different with them.
Well, I agree, and by the simple fact of the matter of, and I think we've seen that streaming television content has been of such great improving quality, where filmed or basically movie cinematic content has become increasingly poor. I mean, look at the Snake Eyes movie. My God, what a piece of garbage! Absolutely could not stand it. And this was something like, oh, they've been promoting it and it had been delayed and it was a big deal. It's just think of the truly great films that you've seen, even if they're popcorn flicks or things that are, related to genre that you've seen even during the COVID era, that you're like, oh boy, I really wanted to see that in the screen, or no, I would really rather go watch, Todd, for you, Ted Lasso, or I wanted to watch, some other streaming, something that was new that I really dug. You know what I mean? Because you can do it at your convenience and you can rewatch it and it's easy and it's not all these built up expectations and looking to see something great for 2 hours of trash.
Yeah.
It's stuff that you can try out. Like, you love Ted Lasso. I didn't love Ted Lasso. I watched a couple episodes and I was done with it, and that's okay. I can move on to seeing, but I love Schmigadoon. That just finally ended on Apple Plus. That was very fun. Or, we really like that show Physical on Apple Plus that Rose Byrne was in. So you can sample different things and not feel like you're like, oh, I wasted time and money to see this absolutely bloated $200 million Snake Eyes movie, or whatever the hell it was. And I shared a grab with you guys yesterday that people really spoke with their wallets, that nobody liked it, so nobody saw it.
And you're going to see it. I mean, it's still coming to Paramount Plus in 45 days after release too. So
Right.
it's like, that's perfect. That's perfectly fine for me to see Snake Eyes and see if it's, there's something redeemable or not. So
Right.
it's
right.
yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And,
I mean,
yeah.
so we'll see where this goes. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine wearing a mask in the theater if it comes to that, but I don't want movie theaters to shut down again. That would suck.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm perfectly fine for those morons who chose not to get a vaccine to have to be carded. And if they didn't get the vaccination, sorry, no shirt, no service, no vaccine, no service.
Right. Right, exactly correct. Yeah, I'm very happy to wear my little. Oh, this was something I mentioned on Code, is that one of the vendors at the Comic-Con we worked last weekend was a leathersmith, and they made little badges you can have on you that you can tuck your card in, and it was a Star Trek theme. It said plague ship victim, or plague ship whatever, and you could tuck your thing in there. And I don't give a shit about that. I'll carry my vaccine card around, whatever the hell it takes.
Absolutely.
I never had a moment's hesitancy about getting vaccinated. We were talking about this we went to a concert last night and our friends drove. We were talking about this, and our friends are both healthcare professionals. They've both been frontline workers this entire time. And I said, booster shot, give me a effing booster shot as soon as I can get it. I don't care. Shoot me full. I don't have any fear in doing something that's going to protect myself, my family, and total strangers. I have no fear. I have no fear.
Absolutely. So, folks, we hope movies will continue to be in theaters. You get the option to see it, spend some money, and support, and just make it a fun night out. That's the big part. And maybe do it with other people. Have a good time out with your family, friends, and enjoy the cinema. But with that, Charlie, so this isn't our normal where we give like the pros and the cons. We go with this. I mean, I think overall, we both were pretty happy with this movie.
Totally. Oh yeah.
And this is great. I mean, this is the type of movie that we want to see more of. Original properties,
right?
Good acting, good script. It felt like it was actually people cared to make this movie, and it wasn't based on anything. So, want more of these type of experiences.
Super rare that you get an IP that is something that is not grounded to the ground. Like, here's the 9th version of keep hacking away at Snake Eyes. Here's the 9th version of something G.I. Joe related that's total crap. Or here's another Transformers movie. Nobody cares. So, I'm with you. Give us more stuff like this. Give it to us, obviously, with actors that we like. And like you said, people who actually want to make it. Or people who people who are talented who wrote the script. So, I'm totally down. Go see this movie. And again, my recommendation is go see it in the theater. I would have preferred to have seen it in the theater, but my schedule simply didn't allow it. But if I would have had my druthers about it, this is the kind of movie I would have liked it, because I thought scope-wise, with the big vistas and the flooded Miami, which is where most of the movie took place at. I think it would have been great to see it on the big screen.
Absolutely. So, folks, check it out. But you know what? We'll be back in the next week to talk about something new in the world of nerd. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, let us know. And if you listen to the end credits, you'll know how to do that. So, Charlie, I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Indeed, you will know, my friends. Thank you, as always, for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trekking, though I usually say trucking.
Watch the video. You'll know what Charlie's talking about. And as I will say, be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
In a trek.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.